What is happening, guys? It's been a few weeks, so welcome to another episode of Comic Book Weekly. It has been a struggle, let me tell you, but Kat and myself are here this week. Unfortunately, Brant couldn't make it, and part of the reason why we weren't able to be on last week was Kat was really sick, and Brant, unfortunately, he had a death in the family, so it's been tough for us these past couple of weeks and I myself was dealing with the hurricane the weeks before that. So it definitely has been a struggle for us to get together. So we apologize. But Kat and myself are here today, and hopefully, slowly, we'll get back on track to where we were. Brant is hopeful to be back next week. So here we are. We're going to get started with our comic books this week. Then we're going to talk about all the news that's come out in the past couple of weeks. We're definitely going to talk about the mutants, the fall of the mutants, hopefully the fall of Krakoa, and stuff like that. So, Kat, you want to say hi to everybody?
Yeah. Hello again. Apologize for not having a show for 3 weeks, but we are back and hopefully it'll be in full force next week. You can even hear my voice. I still sound sick. There's something going around. I don't know. I didn't have COVID, but I had this like horrible sinus infection last week. And just everyone I know has it. Pass it along to people, I guess, but also pass it along to me. So still not feeling great, but at least feeling better to do this show and to function. Mike's a little bit better from the hurricane, but again, Brant did need that extra week. So let's get started. We are going to talk about the comics first, and then we will go through the mountain of news that we have.
Yeah, absolutely. There were some pretty cool comics this week, for sure. And I felt like last week there was a lot of great comics, and it was definitely
There were good
unfortunate.
comics last
Yeah,
week, which
eh,
sucks because there's
yeah,
like
and it,
good, actual
oh,
good comics.
yeah, absolutely. So it was just unfortunate that we didn't get a chance to talk to them, but that again, that's just the way it is. So, all right, let's kick it off now with the first one, the follow-up issue to Batman versus Robin. We have issue 2. This one really focuses a lot more on magic, as we get to see Batman and Alfred actually try to go after Damian to rescue him because obviously he's being possessed. He's not himself. I thought this book was good, but it wasn't as good as the first one. I personally am not a huge magic person in comics. I feel like at times magic can be like a very like huge cop out. It's like, oh, if we want to solve something, we can, solve magic or whatever it is. But I did find it cool is that book for me had like Evil Dead vibes, as them going into this cabin and all these strange things were happening. And I thought that was kind of cool. And then you got kind of the reveal of what's going on with Alfred in that book as well. Yeah, it was cool, and it kind of all tied into World's Finest, and now you really know that story does take place in the past where it was a much lighter DC universe. So, yeah, it was still a great book, just not as strong as the first one for me.
Yeah, no, I love the first one. I thought this one kind of had that second issue stumble. And exactly for the words you said. Like I'm not a huge Magic fan either, so the issue itself was just okay until you get to the end with Alfred and you're like, "Oh, okay, cool. Like is he being possessed? What's this all about?" It was okay issue for me. Curious to see where issue 3 goes.
Yeah, absolutely. And just want to give a quick shout out to just some of the folks that have joined. We have Christopher on here, Rog, PS, we have Tevia, and the infamous Mike Manhattan is on here. So welcome, guys, for joining us tonight. Like I said, if you missed out earlier when we first came on, I did mention that Brant couldn't be on just due to the fact that he did have a death in the family, and he's also got some serious house issues going on right now too. So but we wish him all the best of luck, and he misses you guys as well, and he is hopeful to be back on. All right, so with that being said, let's move on to the next book, The Amazing Spider-Man issue 11. So we get the return of which looks like Ned Leeds as the Hobgoblin in this issue. And we get Kingsley in this issue, which was another Hobgoblin. And we get Norman Osborn, who's trying to pay off Kingsley in this book as well to just try to get him out of the picture, trying to do the right thing. I really like this book. I thought this started to set things up, I guess, of what's to come when it comes to the Amazing Spider-Man. I felt like, Norman is this good guy right now. And I feel like, Zeb Wells is trying to flesh out that character a little bit more, just add another layer to him. And I enjoyed this issue. I really did. I thought there was a pretty good story here.
Yeah, I thought it's better than what we've been getting. At least there's been actual story, but I feel like there's always almost stories, right? Because you have the Hobgoblin, but he's just kind of there. You have the situation that's going on with Betty, that's kind of just there, and then Black Cat and Spider-Man, which I don't know how to feel because it's just like it feel, and honestly, not just because it's like, oh, I want MJ and Peter together. It's not that. It's mostly because they had such buildup of MJ and Black Cat being friends, and now they're gonna get their own book together. And I'm like,
That's what, yeah,
right.
I'm curious about that. Like, I am really curious about like how that's all going to play out. Like, is MJ just going to accept it and just be like, oh, I heard that, maybe you two are dating or whatever it is right now. And maybe she might be like, hey, that's good for Peter because I got my own guy, and she
Which I
might
hope
just
so. That'd be great.
accept it. Yeah.
If they do that, I'll be much happier because right now it's just like, oh, this feels like weird, like girl code thing going on. But it was a fine issue. Still not blowing my mind, Amazing Spider-Man, but it's just, better than it's been. It's just kind of there.
I liked it. I mean, I just thought that Ned Leeds was better. I thought he was kind of cured of whatever what he was going through. And then you see him in the room with the freaking baby. He's like, I won't let them hurt him. I'm like, that's kind of creepy, man. But yeah, it
And
was
then you
good.
have John Romita Jr.'s art, though. That's back. And I'm like,
yeah. He did draw a couple pictures that were okay. Like there was the one picture where Hobgoblin was actually on the glider, which actually was okay and whatnot. And, based off of what Norman is going to go through on this story arc, it says what sets the tone for him going forward. So I am looking forward to that. So we'll see what happens with it, but a better issue for me, especially since the last two had to deal with Krakoa and what was the other one?
I don't
Judgment
remember
Day.
the other one.
The Judgment Day one.
I did not like the Judgment Day. I remember Krakoa, I felt it was fine as a story, but again, came too late. I do think that was a more cohesive story because it was like more beginning, middle, and end. This one's like, here's 5 stories. Go nuts.
I hated the Judgment Day one. I'm like, that
I hardly even remember. I don't remember.
It was like a tease. You were like, at first, you're like, oh, is like
Gwen Stacy. It was the Gwen Stacy issue.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, is he gonna actually bring back Gwen Stacy? Like, is she literally coming back for him accepting his, his sins or judgment or whatever the frick he does, the freaking Celestial? And then it's like she just disappears. I'm like, it's so dumb. Like, it's a cheap thing, But I don't know. We'll see. I am excited though for the dark web situation. I am definitely excited for that.
I don't know if I'm excited, but I'm anticipating. I'm anticipating to see what that's about. And we'll talk more about some other Spider-Man news with dark web as we get to the news. We do have a question from Parker Luck. Hello, Mike and Kat. What are your favorite Halloween pickups from the last couple of weeks? For me, I picked up a trade called Cult of Dracula and Vampirella vs. Dawn. I don't think I picked up a lot of horror comics during this time, but I've been seeing a lot of horror movies. But not as many of the comics. I can't really think of any that are direct.
I watched it. I never saw it.
And the original or the remake?
New one. The new.
I liked the remake. I thought it was.
Yeah, I thought it was really good. I watched it on Netflix the other day. I'm trying to remember what, it's so funny because I read so many comics and I just don't know. I can't ever remember.
You can't remember if there's any like horror ones.
What comes out week to week. I know I liked Creep Show was one that came out recently that I enjoyed, but I love any horror book.
I love horror.
Ghost Rider is really a nice, like, it's not really, it is, I guess you can say it's horror, but it's like gory and stuff like that. Like, I like that one too as well. So yeah, I'm looking, I love all horror books. I really
want there to be a great one though. Cause like, we have, I guess for some people really like Nice House on the Lake. You could kind of consider that to be horror.
Ooh, the Dark Ride. We didn't get a chance to talk about
Oh,
that.
I really like Dark Ride. I didn't even think
Yes.
about that. That was really good. That was
Yeah.
that was my pick of the week last week. Because I was
Yes, it was mine
as
too.
a Disney fan, I really enjoyed it. But then the world building was really good. I really liked that one. That was good.
Yeah. And I knew you would like that because you like going to Disney
Yeah, the
and all
amusement
those
park
places
stuff.
too. And I do too. And being that I live, 40 minutes away from freaking Disney World and 30 minutes away from Universal, it's like I love those places. And being that I go to like Halloween Horror Nights and all that stuff, it's just like, man, can you imagine having this whole amusement park like this? But here's my theory behind this. It's this guy who created the park to begin with, the father. I think he sold his soul to the devil to create this park.
Oh, for
Or
sure.
he has to sacrifice souls to create these rides to make this park better so he can earn money. I'm pretty sure
And maybe
that.
sacrifice the kids too, because they
Yeah.
seem like a kind of major part. Honestly, like I just thought it was a really good issue. Like Williamson does not let down with those. Like that was just, it was cool. I didn't really think it is a horror book, but I didn't really think about it as a horror book.
Yeah.
Because it's the aesthetic is very horror. And I guess the pacing is too. But I was just like, oh, cool. Like
I
a
like the
theme
map.
park.
Did you see the map at the end of the book?
Yeah, that was really cool. And
Yeah.
also, if you read their like little story at the end, was really interesting to read. Like, oh, how much they like the amusement parks and like the
Yeah.
lore behind amusement parks, which is super
Yeah. He's like,
interesting.
if he wasn't a comic book writer, he said he would want to be an
Like an
amusement park
Imagineer.
creator or engineer or something. I'm like,
Yeah.
that's freaking cool, man.
And you could tell how much he loved it because again, the map was really thought out. Like you could tell the world was really thought out. So I'm very excited for issue 2 of that. We do have a
Right.
couple more questions
Yeah, go
here.
ahead.
Have you guys seen Werewolf by Night? I have not seen it yet. I want to watch
Fuck,
it.
it's good.
Is it a show or is it a movie?
It's a movie, but it's only
Oh,
53
wow.
minutes.
Really? Oh my
Yeah.
god! Now I really have to go see it because I thought it was a show. So I was like, oh,
No,
another thing
that's
I
what
have
I
to
thought
catch
at
up with.
first too. And when it was released, right, I was like, oh shit, this came out today. And then I go to look for it, and I'm like, it's only one episode, like it's a movie. And this shit was fucking fantastic. It was so good. The best Marvel Disney Plus show by far
Oh
because
wow!
it's so outside of the box and it's so like
Black and white.
black and white 3040s horror movie. It's so good. It's oh my god, it's produced so well. It's great.
We've been catching up with a lot of like the movies that have been like out in theater. So I haven't even gotten to see Halloween yet because my brother really wanted to go see it. So we're like, okay, we'll see Halloween this week, and then he can't make it this week. I'm like, shit. We're probably gonna see it without him because it's just like, all right, we waited a week to see Halloween. But you know what was really good, and this is a movie theater movie, but hopefully it'll come out in like Netflix or whatever. Barbarian was such a good freaking movie. I don't know if you've heard of it, but it was scary, and I don't get scared by horror movies. Like because it's like, why would you? Like if it's grotesque, fine, who cares? Like if it's just jump scares, I don't really get scared by jump scares. But this was such tension building. It was very much about like building up pacing, and it was just such a phenomenal movie. It's the scariest movie I've ever seen, just because of the pacing. It like keeps you on the edge of your seat. Really, really good. We have a lot of questions here, actually. Infamous Mike Manhattan asks if we have ever seen Man Thing by 2005. I've never seen Man Thing.
Yeah, I've never seen it.
Other things here. Have you seen the new Hellraiser movie? I haven't been seeing more of the theater movies. I saw Smile, but I have not seen the new Hellraiser. I've never seen the original Hellraiser, actually.
I saw the original when I was a kid, and I'm like, man, this shit's fucking creepy, bro. But I haven't seen it, and I haven't watched any of them in a long time.
We also have a super chat here. And also Tevye mentions that Halloween's technically on Peacock. Yes, but I want to see it in theaters. I don't want to see it on Peacock.
Yeah, that gets you in theaters, man.
Yeah, I love Halloween, so I want to see that on the big screen. And also I have this AMC stubs that we pay monthly, so we gotta see more movies. But yes, Consensual Sense for $2 says, did Comic Uno go to New York Comic Con? Do you want to talk about it? I did go to New York Comic Con. And you would think I got sick there, but actually my family's been sick. So
That's
I
where you got sick from.
So that sucks. But so I would have gotten sick either way. But yeah, no, Comic-Con was great. It was the best selling show we've had, which is no surprise. We sold over 300 comics, we sold like 70 pins, sold plush dolls. It was crazy. It was nonstop. We got to see people that normally wouldn't see. It was kind of cool to have like people I admire kind of like come to our table and talk to us. So that was cool. And also Tevye, I met Tevye at New York Comic Con, so that was pretty
Oh,
cool.
That's
So
cool.
shout
Was it
out to
busy?
Tevye. So busy. It was
Yeah.
literally, because like we were Thursday, we at first were debating not to go because Phil had to work and he's like, I could do Friday through Sunday, but I can't do Thursday. And then his sibling ended up going with me. And I was like, no, I think we should do Thursday. It's New York Comic Con. It's not like other conventions where, usually people don't buy on Friday. And we made like our table, which is, not cheap for New York Comic Con on that Thursday. So it was like, oh yeah.
That's great.
This is going to be a great convention. So no, it's been great. And we'd love to do it again. We're doing Baltimore next. We're doing Rhode Island, but New York Comic Con was such a great experience because it's in our backyard. We could also go home after. So it's like, it was nice to go home and eat dinner and not have to like go out and like figure out what we're going to go eat and spend money. So it was nice just like, oh, I could go home and like cook.
That's awesome.
So that was cool. Oh yeah, did you hear about the Peach Momoko thing that happened at New York Comic Con?
Yeah, I did. I heard that there was a long line and people
every
asking,
single time I passed
there
it. I
was
kept going to the bathroom and I'm like, what line is this for? And it's Peach Momoko.
and there was people bringing like tons of books for her to sign, and she wasn't charging for the signatures.
Man.
And I heard it was just a lot of people that are trying to flip the books. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's unfortunate. I mean, if I was her, I would be like, hey, that's great that you're signing them for free. And I know she kind of wants to please the people, but I would say no more than like 2 book minimum. You know what I'm saying?
That's what most
pleased
people do if they're not with a agency, because a lot of times they're with agencies and like the agency makes the number. But if you're not with one, they'll be like, oh, get 2 for free. And then the rest you got to pay.
Yeah, I guess what would happen too is they would go back in line also.
Yeah, but if they're paying at that point, I'd feel better. Like, because I'm like, at least I'm making some money off of it. If you're doing it for free and you're getting overwhelmed, that's kind of crazy.
Yeah. So there's some crazy
So it definitely seemed overwhelming. And supposedly like people are getting into fights online. So like it was unsafe for her too. It's just like, yeah not fun. Don't be an asshole.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Infamous Mike Manhattan said, also, did you guys think about Damien wearing the 666? What did we think about it? It looked weird, didn't it?
It did, but I just considered it of like, okay, because I remember there was that story where he was like Batman. I think that's what it was based on.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, maybe they're just doing a callback. I didn't really think about it too much. I was like, all right, he's like the demon is taking over this situation. So.
Exactly.
So
all right, cool. Well, let's keep going here. Let's talk about then your number 5 book, Cap.
Yes, which is Spider-Man. We already talked about it. So.
Mine was actually Ghost Rider. Speaking of like gory or horror books, Ghost Rider. I've never liked Ghost Rider. Right? I think
tends to be a boring character.
I like the character, the way he looks. I think like he's badass, but I never seemed to like got into his stories until this run. I think Benjamin Percy writes the book well. I think the pacing is great, and I think the story is quite interesting. Just with basically Johnny Blaze was being possessed by this creature in his head, and Wolverine got it out of him. And then this issue, this thing that came out of Johnny Blaze's head became something else, and it became this new villain by the name, I think his name was Exhaust or something like that. Dude, it's super crazy. And now Johnny Blaze is also teaming up with this supernatural FBI agent and stuff like that. It's a good book, man. I really enjoy it. The artwork is great. It's just dark and gritty and just, again, horrific. And you kind of don't know what you're going to get from issue to issue. So I definitely recommend that one.
I think Marvel, which has been really interesting, is Marvel's kind of in a renaissance of characters that you normally wouldn't care about are actually good right now. Like Punisher is obviously a great example of that. I think, at least for me, I never cared about Captain America, and I think its current series is pretty good. I mean, I never cared about Thor, and that's been good. So it's like characters I love have not been great at Marvel, like Spider-Man, but then characters
Right.
like I don't care about at all. It's like, oh, they've actually been getting really solid stories.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Sorry, I got distracted by a chat here. All right. So what's Serenity say? YouTube sucks. Had no audio for the past 20 minutes or so, so I missed the beginning of the show. Well,
Damn, sorry to hear
welcome,
it.
Serenity. You know, better late than never. You know, we're never on here for only 20 minutes, right?
Right?
So we will be talking about the whole mutant thing once we get done with the comics. We thought that the comic talk was the quick discussion this week. We'll get into our main topic. Got Kickstarter to promote, and then
And you would think it's mine. It's actually not my
right,
Kickstarter this
right.
time.
And then we have and then we'll get into all that news and all that other stuff. So let's move forward then. And let's talk about Batman Incorporated. And you didn't read this.
I did not pick it up. No, I'm good. I don't care about
So I
Ghost
was
guy.
hesitant about this to begin with because I'm not a ghost maker guy and clown hunter dude, right? So this book was everything that I expected it to be. Just absolutely horrible. There's no characters in here that makes you say, "Oh man, he is cool," or "He is cool," or "He is cool." And they have this guy that's out there that's killing all of Ghostmaker's and Batman's like masters. You know, there's the master of swords, there's a master of fighting, master of this, master of that, that taught these two all these tricks of the trade, right? Well, there's someone killing all these people. So they're trying to figure out, you know, who it is. It sucks. It's just uninteresting. And the thing that's bad about this book too is they're always covered up in their masks. So there's like no facial expression. You can't, you know, there's just, I don't know. It just feels off for me. So I was like, I'm going to pass on issue 2 on this.
So I'm glad I didn't miss anything on that one.
Yeah, no, you're not missing anything at all on that one by far. All right. So let's move on now to Do a Power Bomb issue 5. So
another great book.
Oh man.
Ending, right? I thought, okay, so the beginning of the issue, you're just getting like this death match, and I'm like, all right, whatever, it's just wrestling. And then you, as always, Do a Powerbomb builds up, and then you get the reveal of the dad, which, you know, happens in a great time for this book. I feel like other lesser books would have done that in like the second to last issue, but we have it now. It looks like our main character is dead, so it's like, okay, once again, Do a Powerbomb. You're amazing.
This book was so good. Like for me, this book was a whole other level from all those other books. It just, I was so vested into this whole story. I'm like turning the pages, like cannot wait for the next page just to see what happens. And you're like, oh man, they're going to pull out that victory. And sure enough, they did not pull out that victory at the end.
The opposite.
And I did not see, first of all, for her to get the reveal that that was her dad in the middle of the match or towards the end of the match was insane, right? And then for the two opponents at the end to face off each other to see which one gets their loved one back is another thing that I didn't even think about, because it's like we had, you know, daughter and father working together to bring back the same person. Well, these two are two separate people, and they lost two separate people in their lives. So there can only be one winner there. So I was like, oh man, that's a nice little twist. It's so freaking good, man. God, that book is so good. It's right up there for like possibly, you know, comic book of the year for me.
Same. You know, we do our which will be coming up sooner or later. We do our end of the year posts of like what books we like the most, and you guys get to vote. And I think Do a Powerbomb is going to be on many lists for us.
Yeah, absolutely. So the infamous Mike Manhattan says, "I can't believe Deadly Class is ending this week." Wow, it's finally, it's been out for quite a long time, right? I mean,
oh my God, it's been out. I mean, we've been doing this show for a while when it came out, just because we've been doing this show forever. But no, it's. I mean, look, a TV show got canceled along the way. It's been out. Actually, I'm curious. Deadly Class issue 1. Like, when did that actually come out?
I want to say
Came out in the TV show came out in 2018. The comic came out in 2014.
I was going to say 2015. So that's crazy, dude, that book has been out for that many years. Holy cow.
And now it's finally ending. I know the artist is doing another Image book, Kaya. So I guess if you like do a power bomb, I didn't do a power bomb. If you like Deadly Class, check out that book. I think it came out already. So check it out.
Vinny says, dang nabbit, Ghostmaker is a badass design, but his character is lacking. Need a good writer for him. LOL.
I never liked the character. I just I've always felt like, even from the beginning, his story was just weird. He was this childhood friends of Batman, and then they hated each other for like a whole arc, and then they just like forgave each other, and I'm like, that's weird.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so let's see. We'll move on to our number 4. What's your number 4?
Who's going first? Mine's Superman, Son of Kal-El. I like this issue a little bit more because we're getting towards the meat of the story where he gets to meet up with his dad again. So, it was solid art. It didn't blow my brains out, no, but it was a fun enough story to see them get back together. I know people in the comments are gonna be like, "Did you hear it getting canceled?" We'll talk about it. It's not actually canceled, but we'll talk about that news piece as it goes along. Is it Vinny says, are you not doing any more voting, guys? We're still gonna, if you mean about the end of the year post, we'll still be doing voting for it. So that usually comes around December-ish, end of November. We'll have those articles. Oh, do you mean for the panels? We haven't had enough time to do it, honestly. So that's why we're not doing the panels anymore, but we will do the end of the year recap.
So Son of Kal, was it decent for you? I mean, was it good book, or was it number 4 just because?
It's a 3-star book, it's just like, it's not like, it's not like, whoa, this is great, but also wasn't like garbage. It was just like, it was there. It was good. I had 10 books. I had fun enough reading it. I don't think I would be like, Mike, you've been missing out on Son of Kal-El. Like, I don't think this is the issue that you need
pick it up now before it gets canceled. Yeah,
exactly. Like, I don't think it's necessarily that, but I also think that this book had lost a lot of momentum, and it felt nice that this was a better read for me.
Right.
And also, they dealt with like the coming out stuff a little bit in this issue, and I thought they did a solid job with it. Again, has it been the best queer story in the world? No, but they're doing a little better.
Gotcha. All right. Well, my number 4 then was Batman vs. Robin issue 2. So we had that, and we already talked about that one. All right. So let's move on to what was the approach? I don't even know what that book was.
It was a Boom Studios book. It was from the same people that did Red Mother and did The Beauty.
I heard about that one. Was it good?
Yeah. No, I didn't love it. Wasn't my thing. It was very like, if you remember in primetime television, like every 5 years, there'll be like this story about a missing plane and these people were gone for 5 years. What happened to them?
Right.
Yeah, it's very much that. And I don't think it really got to the meat of the story until the end. And I was like, I've seen this. I don't need this, so it wasn't for me, but I wanted to try it out because I loved Red Mother so much.
I still might check it out if they have a copy, but I didn't see it at my shop. So just because I remember reading about it and I was like, oh, this might seem pretty cool. And same thing, people that wrote Red Mother. God, that book was great, man. God, I wish I could.
Yeah, and I loved it.
I want to reread that story. That I remember when we were talking about that book. Oh, that was great.
I remember it ended pretty solidly too, that book. So speaking of horror, like that's a book where I always think about like, what's a great horror book? And in recent years, Red Mother would be one. I really like Rachel Rising by Terry Moore was really good. Revival is really good from Tim Seeley, but I haven't had like a series like that in a long time. When it comes to horror, I'm not like, I mean, obviously we love Do a Power Bomb, and that's a great book, and I look forward to it every month it comes out. But I don't remember a horror book being in that vein in a while, and I love a good horror book.
There's a book that's coming out next week from Boom that I just discovered, and it's I forgot the name of it. And it's not tomorrow, it's the following week, and it has Charlie Adlard's doing the artwork for it.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
Walking Dead for anyone who needs to know that.
So I'm definitely looking forward to that one. Anyway, okay, let's go forward. We're talking about our number 3, just like that. So what do you got for your number 3?
We do have a couple of questions, but I'll do my number 3 first.
Okay.
Daredevil issue 4. Big improvement for me this issue. I liked it. I like that there was a little bit more momentum. I like that they went to a secluded place. I enjoy the interaction between Elektra and Daredevil and what that meant for his relationship with Kristen. I just thought it propelled the story a little bit better.
Yeah, they're becoming king and queen, and now they're a new faction of was it the Fist? Is it the Fist that they're
the Hand? I thought.
Or is it the Hand is the enemy, isn't it?
You're right.
Yeah.
They were going up against Punisher, so
right.
I guess it's the Fist.
Yeah. And Stick's involved and everything like that. So it's pretty cool. It wasn't a really dialogue heavy book this time around. It was
probably why I liked it. It's been so dialogue heavy.
Yeah, it was kind of a quick read. It kind of got to where it needed to get to. And I was like, okay, this is cool. So let's move on. Let's see what happens next. So yeah, it was pretty cool. It wasn't in my top 5, but it was still a good read for me.
For me, it was just such a big improvement because I really didn't like the first 3 issues. I was like, oh, where'd Daredevil go? Like, I haven't liked it. So this is like, a reminder of what I enjoyed before.
I still think this is like, it's going to build up just like the first volume did. I'm pretty sure. It took a while to get there, and it will happen here.
So we do have a couple of questions here. So infamous Mike Manhattan says, which created the beauty? So both the same writers. So I guess they both co-wrote this as well. It's not the same artist, but I'm not sure of the artist. And then Mr. Negative says, have you all been reading I Hate This Place? I did not like that book. It was not for me. And it like sold for me. It was like almost a slasher book. It was gay. I was like, oh, this looks really cool. But that first issue didn't do it for me.
Which one?
I Hate This Place. You read that one.
Oh,
it was like the 2 girls. They went to that cabin.
So I liked the first issue. And then I read the second issue and I'm like, nope. It just completely lost me from there.
Yeah, I wasn't feeling that. Another book I know you read, but I actually skipped on was Grimm. Do you still like Grimm?
Grimm, yeah. Grimm's good. I like it. The last issue was actually really, really good. And then, you know what issue that I didn't like this time around and I loved after the first issue was Ninjets.
Interesting.
Yeah, the concept is great, but the second issue, it was like so jumpy. You don't know who characters or what. It just was like, it was just all over the place. It just didn't make any sense. It was a bad issue. It really was poorly constructed. So like, I'm probably going to drop that because I'm like, man, if this is the way the second issue is written and the story goes deeper, like, I don't know if I can do another one,
Another question. This is about Daredevil, and then we'll go to your number 3. Do I need to read the previous volumes of Daredevil to start this new volume? Honestly, yeah. I hate to say that because it's an issue 1, but there's a lot of information you need.
Yeah, I think you should. And it's a really good read. Like, you won't be disappointed with it. So it'll be worth the time to invest to read, and then you'll have a better understanding going into that second volume.
Oh, yeah. And honestly, it like even attaches itself to other books, which is, Punisher. I don't think you necessarily need to read Punisher, but you'll have a better understanding of what's going on here if you do read Punisher. We actually have a couple more questions here. Indie Key Comics says, anyone reading Crossover? I loved Crossover, but I don't know when it's coming back.
Yeah, I mean, they only had that 3D issue that came out, but yeah, definitely a good book.
Yeah. And then Parker Luck says, do you guys have any prose novels of comic characters that you love? I have a couple of Spider-Man ones just because people gifted it or like I've seen it, but I don't really like reading prose of comic characters. If I'm reading prose, I'd rather read something that I'm not visually gonna get.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
So what was your number 3?
Well, my number 3 was Amazing Spider-Man.
Nice.
So I honestly felt for me, that Amazing Spider-Man issue was the best issue in the series so far because it started to tell a story where the other ones really just focused on more of fighting more than anything. And this one was like, okay, we're building towards something now.
I don't think I have a favorite just yet. I hope I do soon, but yeah, to be determined on that one. We have another question from Infamous Mike Manhattan because we weren't on for this week. But what did you guys think of Rogue Sun issue 7? I loved the idea of it, but I actually got a little confused as I was reading it. I'm like, wait, did I go to the right page?
I got fucking stuck. I kept on going.
Right, me too. I couldn't finish it.
The page 10 over and over and over and over again. I'm like, what the heck is going on? So with these Choose Your Own Adventure books, I had a ton of them when I was a kid. A ton of them, right? And so I told myself, I'm not going to cheat. I'm not going to cheat because I did that when I was a little kid. I would kind of
I cheated after a while.
And see. But someone told me that there was a trick before even the first choose your own page to go to. There was a hint that he was going to trick you the entire time to get you back to page 10 or wherever it was. So someone told me that in the comments. I'm like, oh, is that what it was?
Because I kept getting to page 10. I'm like, oh, I want to see what happens in the end. And I never got to it. So I just read, I read it to a point where I was like, all right, I'm done choosing my adventure.
Right.
Let's see what the other versions were. And in that regard, I loved, it was just such a cool experience. But as a story, I don't know if I loved it. I liked the experience more than the story itself.
Yeah, I felt it was more like a filler issue, but it was just something to more than just a filler story. It was just an experience, just something different. And I think if they did not trick you like that, I think it would have been a better comic book because then you would have got to choose truly where you went to at the end of the book. You know what I'm saying? Hold on, I gotta get a drink real quick.
No, I definitely agree on that one. So thank you for asking about Rogue Sun because I feel like the New York Comic Con, I'm trying to think. Last week, again, Devil's Ride, I thought was really cool. And then the week before that, there were some good books. The September 21st week, I had some really fucking good books. I had all 4 stars. I had a 5-star book that week. So the first week that we missed was a really good week for me. So there you go. Just looking at my list on that one. Because I really like the book. I don't know if you read this, Mike, but the book Crashing from IDW, I thought it was phenomenal. I love that book. It was so good. Issue 2 comes out tomorrow. Really, really good independent book. I think you'd like it.
What is it about?
It's about this woman who's a doctor at a hospital with people who have powers, and she's a drug addict, or at least she's sober for a very long time. And then I don't want to spoil too much, but she gets to a point where she has to take another pill, and it's this really interesting story of should you treat these people that have powers or not? And it's connected to her husband too. Really, really interesting book. I just thought the way it was written is I was sucked into this character and what her narrative was going to be.
Cool. That's cool.
Good book. And also, guys, I see some questions about news pieces. We will get to the news pieces. All the news pieces for New York Comic Con. The G4 news pieces, the Superman news pieces. We're gonna get to it.
Yep. And the mutant stuff too.
And the mutant stuff.
All right. So let's see, where are we on? We did number 3. And now we're going to talk about, I didn't buy this because I've been burnt on these freaking Dark Crisis World Without a Justice League shit. And so this one had to deal with Green Arrow. As much
I,
as I wanted it, I'm like, I am not going to buy it. So
I think you actually should have gotten it. It was really good.
for real?
Yeah, no, I really like this one because it didn't really have anything to do with the event. It was just about like Green Arrow. You get to see him in this almost medieval thing going on, and you get to see Mia, you get to see Roy, and they're going up against Malcolm Merlin, and you're just like, oh, this is really fun. And then he goes to the city where Black Canary is, and they don't know each other, and you're like, are we sure you don't know each other? This is weird. And then you get some multiverse stories, but not so much where it's just like, oh, another like, here's a fifth Black Canary. It really is about their love story. And I was like, oh, cool. It actually felt like a good beginning, middle, and end where you don't need to read Dark Crisis. You don't need to read anything after. It was just a good one shot. If you like Green Arrow, it was just fun and solid. And I'm like, oh, more of these tie-ins should be like this.
We just need a freaking comic book with those two in it and just be done with it, period.
I agree. Tevye asked if we had any opinions on the tie-ins as a whole. I honestly, this was the only one I read because I'm like, I don't get to see Green Arrow very often. So I was like, oh, I'll read this. Like, I don't need to read Batman the tie-in because I
think I read
Batman tie-ins.
One tie-in and it was garbage. And so I'm like, no, I'm not doing it with this event. You know what I'm saying? I think the event is okay and I'm enjoying it, but I don't need to invest in those tie-ins because all it is false worlds that these Justice League characters that are in, which based off of the most recent issue, they broke out of. And that's all it was, you know? So
yeah, it's just a little side story.
Yeah.
And again, if you like a character, go for it. But if you don't, I wouldn't have picked it up if it wasn't for Green Arrow.
Right. Totally get that. All right. So let's move on now. We're going to talk about our number 2. My number 2 this week was Chicken Devils issue 1. So this book continues. It's the second volume of Chicken Devil. This book is so much like Breaking Bad in just so many ways, and I love that. You get this guy by the name of Mitchell Moss who was a fast food owner of a chicken chain, and his partner was selling heroin. The place wound up blowing up. This is what was happened in the first volume. And then just things all went south from there. You know, everything was this snowballing effect. Mitchell had to defend himself. He became this guy that killed all the bad guys. And now in this second volume, we wind up, he has these detectives that are covering for him, and they came up with this story so he doesn't get any jail time. He gets to be with his family again, but his family doesn't look at him the same way. And it's just a great book, man. Overall, it's a good story. I could talk about it forever. But if you love Breaking Bad, I feel like this has a lot of like good Breaking Bad vibes in it. And I would definitely recommend this. And it's funny too. Like the family dynamic in this book is hysterical. So
do you think for people that didn't read volume 1, they'd understand volume 2?
No, I think you would have to. They do give you kind of like a catch up, but if you want the full effect, read volume 1. I mean, it's only 4 or 5 issues. I think they have like the trade out now, so you can read that trade, get caught up, and then go into this for sure. So much fun, dude.
Supremo Omega says, Kamala working for Norman Osborn is a sign that Marvel has no idea what to do with her post G. Willow Wilson.
I agree.
Yeah, no, I think so, for sure.
I agree, but hey, man, at least they figured out something. Because I was like, why is she in Dark Web? What does Miss Marvel, Kamala Khan, have to do with that event? And now reading this, Spider-Man run, you're like, oh, it makes sense now because she's working with Peter. So I'm like, that's interesting. Hey, maybe Zeb Wells can again develop the character more. If that's a way to develop the character and putting her in a different book, why not?
Even though she hasn't done anything yet, she's just like, I'm Kamala. Hey, like I feel like most of her scenes are just like, hey, I'm working here.
Peter and Kamala have no idea that they're superheroes. They don't know each other.
They can play with that. Hopefully they do.
Yeah.
I think the thing is with Spider-Man, they need to like have stories that just focus on one issue. Like, oh, this is really cool. Have a Kamala and Peter issue, not just like here's a scene of Kamala. Like, give them a whole issue.
They put a little
You
bit
have
of
room to
different
breathe a
story
little bit.
threads. Yeah. All right. So what was your number 2?
Do a power bomb. We already talked about it.
All right. And then we'll talk about. Wow, you're still reading freaking Batgirls. What the hell,
I
man?
got to. I mean, it's Stephanie. I'll never let go of Steph.
For some spoilers, man.
I'm always desperate for spoilers.
Even though she's like
and also,
10
it's not.
in this book.
It's not horrible, right? It's not offensive, but it's also not like good in my opinion. In my in my readability, I'm not enjoying it as much. So, but it's I get to see them on a monthly basis, and this issue is actually okay. There's some slice of life aspect. I had a good enough time with it. I like that they're done with the future state stuff because that took a long time. Now at least they're on a different villain, so I'm like, all right, I can have a good time with this.
Gotcha.
I'm not saying it's great, and it's not going to be my top 5, but not bad.
Fantastic Four issue 48.
Filler.
Is it Judgment Day?
Yeah, you don't need to read. The thing is, like, I'm friends with David, so I wanted to see his take on Fantastic Four, and I liked seeing his take on Fantastic Four. So I was like, oh, that was cool to see. I definitely wish that it wasn't from Reed's point of view because it's sold as an Invisible Woman story, but it's all told from Reed's point of view. So it's like, oh, I kind of wish it was just from her point of view. I think I would have enjoyed it a bit more than I did. But it was, it's cool to get another person's voice. It was cool to get his voice, and curious to see where the new chapter will take. You definitely don't need to read this if you're like, thinking about the overall Fantastic Four storyline. It is just a block. That way we get to the new volume. But it was okay.
All right, cool. And then number 1 book. What was your number 1 then?
Mine was actually Green Arrow, just because I was so pleasantly surprised by it. Because I was expecting nothing, and the art was fun. It was a fun story. So and I missed Green Arrow.
Mine was obviously Do a Power Bomb. Just love that book, man. So much fun.
It's a good book. I had to switch it up because I picked Do a Power
Bomb.
No,
you don't have to switch it up.
And also, if I had to be critical with Do a Power Bomb, I did think the beginning was a little slow, and that's kind of why Green Arrow edged it off a little bit, just because I was like, oh, I didn't know where it was going, and then obviously the ending blew up, and I was like, oh, that was amazing. But if I had to be critical, like, I think with Green Arrow, I had a fun time throughout the whole entire issue.
Right. Gotcha. All right. So before we get into the news, and what we'll do is we'll talk about this Kickstarter, and then we'll talk about the mutant stuff. Okay.
Yes.
So this time around, the Kickstarter has to do with me. So I did not make this comic. I just wanted to let you guys know that. However, I am partnering up with the Night Library. Some of you guys probably have seen my promotional videos, promotions on my videos. And the Night Library is a small indie publisher which creates digital comics, but now they're starting to put their work in physical form. And this is called the Red Hunt, or Red Hunt issue 1. They have 19 days to go. They got 70 backers. Their goal is $3,000, but they've already reached, $4,300, which is really good. They're on their 3rd stretch goal. This looks like quite an interesting book. It's about a monster hunter. And, again, it's their first Kickstarter. So if you guys want to throw in a couple of bucks and help back them, I think it's going to be a pretty cool book. It's definitely a soft cover, and some of the stretch goals here are actually pretty awesome. If we get to scroll down here, we get to see there's like a poster. There's stickers,
keychain, magnet.
There's just all kinds of really cool stuff here. And these guys are from South Florida, kind of in my neck of the woods. And definitely a really cool story. And hell, if it gets backed by, what was it, like $2,000 or something like that, they'll start, doing promotional projects for Red Hunt issue 2. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to be reading it. Can't wait to see what it's like. So hopefully you guys can support them. Red Hunt issue 1, again about a monster hunter, and if you can't hunt them, then you're gonna become one. So yeah, that's about it.
So there you go. And we also put a link in the description. Try and make these books possible. There's some wonderful books on Kickstarter. There's a lot of great. The JM Demantis, who did Craven, has his Kickstarter going on right now. He has 4 secret projects, like James, which we're going to talk about in a bit. James Tynion's doing a movie on Kickstarter, so there's a lot of heavy hitters on there as well. We actually did we talk about the Tim Drake issue? Did you not read?
No, we didn't talk about it. That came out last week.
Yeah. Man, I want to love. I want to love.
Yeah, you wanted to like it, right?
I want to love this book so much. And what's really frustrating, was the art. Like, it already felt like the style does not fit Tim. So it's just like you're already starting out off the gate with a style that doesn't work for the book. And then you separate yourself so far from what's going on in Batman that I'm like, oh my, it's so frustrating.
It did not feel like that character, right? Again, it was like Tim Drake can be bi. There's nothing wrong with that. But you don't have to change the character. And it just seemed like he was completely different in my eyes. You know,
and I don't think they even did that much with his, like, it's not even like, and again, that's always been my same complaint about Superman right now, is just like, you're not even doing anything with the relationship. Like, it'd be awesome to see some stuff with him and Bernard and like have a story there. And they don't do that. They just like, I again want to love the book. I want to give it another issue, but I don't even know if it's worth it, because it's just like, I don't like the art either. So
that art is just, it's not right. It's just not right. I mean, if I'm going to see Tim, I can see Tim in Batman, right? And I think that's absolutely fine. He looks great there, and I'll read his story there. Even though he's kind of he's a sidekick to Batman in that book, it's still, I just feel like he's written well in that book, and if he continues to be in that book and then he establishes his relationship there, that's okay, man. It's just, I don't know. It's just,
give me a good Tim story. Give me a good, bi story. Like, give me it all. But it's just like, it's frustrating.
Trying to, if it was like a Damian thing, you see how Damian was trying to find himself in that book. That's what they could have done with Tim Drake. They could have done something like that.
Yeah, no, and that would have been an even stronger story, because again, like, that's a cool queer story you could tell. It's just a cool, like, self-discovery story. And I feel like, and again, I don't think it's the fault of Superman or the fault of Tim. Like, Batgirls kind of has the same issue, and neither of them are queer, and neither of those stories are about being queer. But it's just like, what audience are you trying to target? Like, what story are you trying to tell? It's a shame that, I just feel like there needs to be more of a hook in these stories than they've been having. But we'll see where it goes. If there's a new artist and a new direction for the book, like, I definitely would like return to it. I just don't know if I'll get issue 2, which again is a shame, because I wanted to see where that relationship was going to go. But what can you do? But yeah, let's get into some news. We'll start with our big conversation, which I'm going to screen share because there's a lot of Marvel events to talk about. So let's get to it. You're getting behind the scenes here for a second, but let's get to that chart. So our big thing is that we have Avengers Assemble in November, which, are you still reading Avengers Assemble?
Oh, no, I haven't read it in forever. And I think, I guess this is Jason Aaron's, like, all 3 of his books that he's writing, and it's coming together to become this, I guess, his final hurrah, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I might read it just to see what it has to offer. But man, I haven't liked his Avengers run at all. So I don't know. We'll see. I'm like 50-50 with this one.
Dark Web, obviously, we're going to continue to read. It's the big Spider-Man event, and we'll talk more about some of the other things that have come out of Dark Web. We won't talk about it here just because there's a couple of news pieces there, but obviously we're reading it. We already said we're looking forward to it. So that's December. January is the X-Men event, which is Sins of Sinister, which I don't care. I'm not reading X-Men.
What is that though? Is that like is that just Mr. Sinister thing?
Yeah, I think it's a Mr. Sinister story. I have not been reading X-Men, so I don't know what's going on with him. But from what I remember, they were building something with him in the past couple of, honestly, year. So at least it's something they've been building towards.
I don't know.
And then I guess let's go to the summer with that, because that's going to connect with Fall of X, which I will read X-Men when Krakoa is over at this point. I just the only thing I'm reading from X-Men is Exterminators, and I think that's such a fun book. I loved Exterminators.
I liked it too.
I thought it was fun. So that was really good. That is all. That's what I want X-Men to be. If you're gonna like make everything feel so different. I honestly hate that everything feels so connected at this point.
Well, see, that's what I liked about it too. And I said that I was like, oh, it's good for these girls to get away from that Krakoa crap, because it didn't feel like your typical X-Men book right now. It felt like something different. Like, I liked how they went out on the town trying to get over this breakup. And then of course you get them, they got drugged and they wind up going into this mysterious like place that maybe Arcade created. You know what I'm saying? Like,
it was just fun.
Yeah.
It was just fun. And the characters interacted so well with each other.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I thought it was good, man. And then Laura comes into play at the end of the issue, so I want to know how they got her in there. So I think it was kind of cool, man. I know some people were like, "This is not my X-Men, and this is not that."
It doesn't have to be.
It's just something different than the Krakoa stuff. Like, I get it. Like, I understand people are frustrated with X-Men. I'm one of them. So if I was looking for anything to get away from Krakoa, and that was it. And it was just entertaining for me. So like,
if I'm not reading a Kitty Pryde book, you know something's up. Like, I dropped Marauders. Like, that's something right there. Because that's like Batgirls to me. Like, I always want to pick it up, but I was just giving it too many issues. And at least with Batgirls, there's always something fun. There's always like, okay, at least there's something there. With Marauders, like, there wasn't one thing I liked about it.
Right. We did get a super chat, Kat.
Oh, nice. I can't see it. So
yeah, I'm gonna pull it up right now. And it was a question for you, Kat. It said, did Comic Uno meet Comic Tom at New York Comic Con?
I did not. I was stuck at my table. And I've never actually interacted with Comic Tom, so I don't know if he knows of me, but that would be pretty cool. You could let Comic Tom know I was there. I do a lot of the comic conventions, so.
Right. That's cool. Here's
I can't see. Okay.
Real quick, I got something here. It says, Sins of Sinister has cloned multiple copies of Moira and has been manipulating the timeline by killing them and resetting the timeline to the day the clone was made. So it's about a bunch of clones, it looks like.
I would love for Moira to have more of a story than she does. I feel like that was such a promise thing. Now they're doing it, but now she's like nothing. She's just like this two-dimensional. Yeah, she's a Terminator, literally. And then even with the Mary Jane stuff that she did, it's not as interesting as what was sold to me when she was first introduced.
Right.
Moving on to our spring event, which is Captain America Cold War. I've been really enjoying the Captain America main series. I've been really enjoying it. And we haven't had a Captain America event in a long time.
This might be one I pass.
Which is understandable because you haven't been reading Cap, and you didn't like the first issue. So I feel like if you didn't like that first issue, you probably won't.
I mean, unless people tell me otherwise, and I love when my viewers tell me, Mike, you got to pick up something, because I always recommend stuff to them, and I love when they recommend stuff to me. So if they tell me that, hey, this is the greatest Captain America book in a long time, I'll go out there, I'll pick it up.
I think it's good, but it's not on that level right now. I think it's like, oh, this is fun and it's cool to have this on my pull list, but I would never say like, Mike, gotta read Captain America right now. I think it's just a solid book. It's not like Punisher, right? Like Punisher's on a whole nother level.
Oh yeah, Punisher's so good, man.
Punisher is very good. Moving into the summer, though, we do have Summer of Symbiotes because for
Yep.
some reason, since that Venom event like 5 years ago, every year we need a Venom event.
Oh yeah, well we're getting this back again. I mean, wasn't this a few years ago where every Marvel character was venomized?
Venom.
Do you remember
Yeah, I'm
that?
good. Yeah, no, I remember, and I'm good. I remember I gave that first one a try, and I was like, oh, that was fine. And then the second one, I'm like, oh, they're doing this again. And now again, we're on like the fifth one, and I'm like, no.
That's fine with me. I'm on it, dude. I don't care. I love that. I'll love any character that's symbiotes, whatever the case may be. I'm on that event just because it's ties into some of the characters I love, you know. So then they
And you're
might
reading
introduce
Venom,
another one.
so you are actually reading that series, and you're reading Carnage too, right?
Yeah, I'm reading Carnage. I did. I was like, I'm not really into the Venom series right now, but I did pick up the newest issue because it's got Sleeper in it, and I did wind up reading it, so it was okay. It's not the same as Donny Cates, you know.
No, definitely not. All right, so that's the event portion. We will get to more comic talk once we do the media talk first, because there's less to talk about there. So first up, James Tynion is doing a Kickstarter tomorrow to
We
do
actually
a
didn't talk
horror.
about the Krakoa stuff though.
Oh, right. That was kind of more of the fall of X, but I guess, yeah, we could talk about, do you think it's actually going to end? I hope so.
Yes,
You
I
think
do
so?
think it's going to end. Yeah, I think this means that Krakoa is going to be over. I think the whole place is going to fucking blow up. And I think there's going to be, I think we're probably going to lose a lot of mutants, but you'll still have like the main ones,
Your main ones.
obviously.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But I think this is going to put these mutants back quite a ways. Like, I'm talking to the point to where they have nothing and they're struggling to survive. Something like that is going to happen. I would
Which I
love
think
to
would be
see that.
interesting.
Yeah. Like, how do they find themselves back into civilization? Because they had everything, right? They had their own island. They were all, even though they're all scheming against each other at times, they were really working together. They're used to, transporting to get to where they want to. They got leverage with, the United States selling their freaking medications and stuff like that. Like, they're basically in control, So now what's going to happen if this whole place falls apart? How are they going to be left to survive as a civilization or as a species, I should say, right? So I think that, if done right, can make a very interesting story. And I think just like I'll say this every time, like apocalyptic books, the fall of the civilization is what makes it very interesting. And I want to see that happen.
Yeah, no, for sure. I will read Bear F's comment, but infamous Mike Manhattan said X-Men struggling again. How new and innovative. They do like the struggle. But Bear says they have said it won't be over. The creators said they're going to be going as long as they're allowed to and have huge plans for the next few years.
If they keep Krakoa around, that's a mistake. It really is. I've never been so disappointed in the X-Men in a very long time. Even when we had like X-Men Gold and X-Men Red and X-Men Blue, like I found those stories better. I found the stories
at least you could read one series and it felt different than all the other ones.
I even in the beginning, like I really enjoyed Brian Michael Bendis's X-Men in the beginning before he got
the
bored
very
with
beginning.
it.
Like the first 15 issues or so was actually really good.
I mean, don't get me wrong. House of 10 and Powers of X were really, really good, but that's when Jonathan Hickman wrote it. If Jonathan Hickman still wrote it now, it probably would still be still be good. But how long are we going to keep these guys on Krakoa? I don't know, man. It's tough for me. It really is.
But I guess at the same time, what other ideas do they have? They try going back to basics.
I guess it's like, I find it a waste that a lot of these characters are basically sitting around a table most of the time, just talking. And it's a waste of characters. And I feel like they don't know how to develop these characters anymore. So this is what they do. They sit around and talk around the table, have freaking galas and shit like that. And
I think what would be more interesting is if the X-Men rebooted and they had one X-Men team, but then if they wanted to use their 5 or 6 other titles for solo books. So you have the X-Men where you find, okay, cool, you get to see them work together. And then you have your most popular X-Men. You have the Jean Grey book. You have, a Kitty Pryde book. You have a Cyclops book, a Cable book. Like, I think that would be so much more interesting. And you'd be doing something different than having 10 teams where Wolverine's on 5 of them.
That's true. I mean, yeah, again, I think it's a matter of doing something to the characters that makes these characters better than what they were before. And that's what we have not gotten in X-Men comics in a long time. And that's what I want to see again. Like, how has Emma Frost developed in the past few years? Right?
Yeah.
Nothing. Cyclops, Jean Grey, Wolverine, Professor X, Magneto. Like, what has changed about them that has made them a better character than they were, right? I think if anything, a lot of them have devolved instead of evolved. Right?
You go back to the Robin book. I think the Robin Joshua Williamson book is a roadmap of what I want comics to be. I want to see, this character starts somewhere and then goes somewhere else, like storytelling. And I don't feel like there's a lot of the Marvel or DC books have been doing that lately. It's been very much like fight. Big thing happens, changes in 2 issues later, I just want character stories again. And you do see that in stuff like Punisher. I think Captain America is doing a good job at that. Again, I'm not saying all superhero comics are like that, but the big ones, the Spider-Mans and the X-Men's, that they're like too afraid to like tell a story with them anymore.
Yeah, it's tough, man. It's very, very frustrating,
All right, well, let's get
real quick. Serenity says, "This is why the X books are great." What does it say? This is why the X books are great is because they're all over the place. Immortal X-Men is your political drama. X-Men is your superhero book. X-Men Red is your space opera. X-Force is a R-rated bash.
I mean, I'm always happy to hear if people are enjoying their books. So if someone's finding something to love about the X-Men now, that is good. And it's just not for me then.
Absolutely. And again, everybody has different tastes, so we'll see what happens with the fall of X.
Yes. So going into our media news here, so James Tynion and a couple other comic creators are making a horror short, and they're launching it on Kickstarter, which I'm super curious to see if the comic audience is going to bleed through there, and if there's a comic connection, or are they just trying to make a short film. I always love seeing comic creators innovate and do something different. So
yeah, I agree.
This is cool news. And horror short in October will be interesting to see. I'll probably support it. I'll give some backing there. All right, next up is this was a big news piece actually recently came out. There was like rumblings about it, but now it's official. Harrison Ford is going to play Thunderbolt Ross, and he's going to appear in Captain America. But that's huge. That's interesting to see. I feel like he's a lot older now, though. So it's like, oh man, that's weird.
It's like you got Thunderbolts Ross, and then it's just like, hey, now you got Harrison Ford, who's pretty old himself, and it's like, how long is he going to be playing this part though? But like,
he's 80 years old.
How much?
80.
He's 80?
Yeah, I just looked it up. I'm like, that's crazy.
How many, though, movies is Thunderbolt Ross going to be in?
I think contract-wise, they can't even do that much because they have that Hulk rights situation going on.
Right.
But also, he's such a big character. So it's just like, I don't know. It's just weird.
It's good that they got a big name and people are going to be excited just to see Harrison Ford,
Yeah, no, I mean, look, I'm interested to see, but I mean, Thunderbolt Ross, I don't even think you needed a big name. He's already a big character, so it's like it's interesting choice. This is older news, but Rogues Gallery is getting a TV show already, which is cool. I love that book. I think it's great, and I think that's where it needs to be. I mean, it's a commentary on more superhero media than anything, so I think it definitely should be a TV show.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. When I heard that, I was like, man, that's pretty freaking awesome. That already that book got optioned, but it is
Mhm.
definitely a wonderful book, a good story, and I think having that as show or movie or whatever it is a big deal, and I want to see that story.
Yeah, for sure. Me too. And how long a TV show would be because it's just a 4 issue miniseries. So
Right.
how much can they do? Um, Hugh Jackman joins Deadpool 3. Wolverine was done. He's not anymore. I mean, it's gonna be a cool movie. That's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, I remember when I saw that teaser, I was like, no freaking way. Like my wife told me, she's like, "Did you hear that the Deadpool trailer dropped?" And I'm like, "No." And so I went to go check it out. I was sitting there laughing and then I saw the Hugh Jackman thing. I'm like, "That's freaking pretty cool." Like I'm excited about that. It's like get him in at least one more movie and that people are going to be freaking packing up that theater to see
It's
that.
it, it's like the Spider-Man thing, right? Like, I
Yeah.
mean, you say as much as you're saying about this Marvel phase and like, are they making as much money as they were? But like, Spider-Man brought in the house. Like my friends who normally like me and my business partner will usually go see the superhero movies because we're the only ones interested in it. But I remember like our whole friend group went to go see it because it's Spider-Man. We all grew
Yeah.
up with that.
Yep.
Same thing for Wolverine. You all grew up with that character. So I think it'll bring a lot more people to the theater. Um, Moving on to Armor Wars is now a movie. It's not a TV show anymore. It seems like sums up with that one. There's been a lot
Good.
of like
I'm
people.
glad it's a movie. It'd probably be better as a movie than a show because a show would probably be dragged out. And then as a movie, you can probably just tell that story and then be done with it. And you're probably going to have a better budget for a movie because if you're dealing with something with Armor Wars, you don't want to fuck with that. You want the best quality on that screen. You want that action. You want everything involved in it. I'm happy that they'll tell that story on the
It's
big screen.
good, but I've also been hearing like so many rumblings of like, oh, this person's leaving, this person's doing this. I'm like, I hope it's also like not because they can't figure out what they want to do, but
Who knows? I mean, they're going through that situation with the Blade project too, and that's why all
mm,
these other Marvel movies wind up getting delayed now because of the situation with Blade.
yeah.
So,
So we'll see what ends up happening with that. Uh, let's see. Well, this is more a question for you. Did you see the She-Hulk finale? I still need to watch all of She-Hulk. So I need more
I'm
time.
only on episode 3,
And
so
Mike's behind then.
I'm probably gonna catch up next week. My wife is going out of town, and same with my daughter. So probably me and my son will just binge it real quick because it's not a very long episodes. And then we're also gonna
Yeah,
go
it's a
see
comedy.
we're gonna see Black Adam next week too.
Seeing Black Adam on Saturday because we're playing catch up with all our movies. So we're gonna see hopefully Thursday Halloween and then Saturday Black Adam, which is not getting good reviews. So we'll see how that goes. All right, moving on to a little bit of older trailer, but we wanted to talk about it, and that's the Mario Bros trailer. Um, man, I don't know. Whatever. It's
I
just like it
think
looks like a
visually,
visually it's great, but those voices
dude,
suck.
it looked phenomenal. Like I really loved the way it looked. And Bowser was fine. I think Bowser's done by Jack Black. I thought
He was a little streakier than I thought. I
I
always
thought
thought
he
a
was
little bit more of an
fine.
intimidating voice.
Um, but yeah, I need to hear more of Mario for sure. Uh, I I think Chris Pratt was the wrong choice just because he's done
Yeah.
so much, right? It's like, why does he need to be Mario also?
I just think they could have picked anyone else. Yeah. He also didn't really try to change his voice. It's just him. And I'm just like, I'll go see the movie.
Yeah,
I'll go see it, but I'm not also not invested in the Mario Bros that much. If this is bad, like, I'm like, all right, whatever.
I don't think
But
it's
also,
going to be
like,
a bad movie.
I hope it's like a Sonic vein where it's like you can have fun with it. It's not going to be the best movie in the world, but it's like, it's a fun movie.
I think it's going to be good. I don't think they're going to want to fuck this up because look at how many people in this world have played Mario or some type of Mario game, right? This is bigger than Sonic. and so this should be done better than Sonic. So hopefully
It's
it
not
turns
live
out to
action
be good.
either, which helps.
No, yeah, exactly.
It definitely helps in that regard. All right, moving on to our last media topic. This is more recent news. G4 is ending. They're like, hey, we couldn't get the audience. It shows like sometimes people ask for things and they just don't show up. They're like, I want G4, I want G4. And then like, not as many people are watching it. They talk the talk, but they don't walk the walk.
So I have G4 on my I have YouTube TV. And so like I have it on there. But every time I turn it on, there's no good shows on there. Like there's nothing there worth
it's all
watching.
like reactions and things like that. I'm like, I could go to another YouTuber and
It's
find
not
this,
even that though either. It's just some show that it's just like, oh, this is dumb. Like I've given it a legitimate try, and I'm just like, this is not entertaining. But you are right. Like anything that you see on there nowadays, you can just watch on YouTube, and you have
And you
all
already
these.
have a connection with those people that you're watching on YouTube. Like these are new personalities. So it's not like you would have to build a new connection. Like,
Right.
you have a daily routine of like watching me or watching you. And it's just like you already trust that person's opinion. So to find a whole new person and like them just trying to react to things, it's like,
Oh yeah. Yeah,
they
absolutely.
should have gotten bigger names. I think if they did that, then they might have been able to find more of an audience. Maybe YouTube names.
Yeah, that's a good idea, actually.
Then they could have made something into it. But let's get into comic news because we got a lot here. So first up, Teeny Howard and Sweeney Boo is taking over Harley. And this actually was going to be a topic we were going to do when this originally came out. But I think this is a move to make Harley a bigger character at DC and make it a flagship. Sweeney Boo is a very popular artist, and Teeny Howard is becoming one of their more popular writers. So I'm like, oh, this is interesting. Like,
But
I hope
what are
this
you gonna
means
do
more.
with what do you need to do with Harley to make her a readable character?
Follow the show. Make it not parody. Don't make it a parody. Don't make her Deadpool. Make her a character that feels things and has a story arc.
And that's the problem. Like they made her Deadpool, and that ever since they made her that way, like I can't stand it. I just cannot stand her. That it's like she's a joke, and she shouldn't be. She's not. She should not be a joke type of character. You know what I'm saying? I feel like she can be like this threatening character and make like jokes, but she should not be like freaking Deadpool where everything is comical for her.
I think what the show does a really good job at is that she's still nuts and crazy and she's still like very funny. But there's always like there's these relationships that she has. She has, her gang of characters. She obviously has a relationship with Poison Ivy that's really well developed. And then she actually even has a relationship with the Bat family. And that's kind of what's currently happening in the show, where she realizes that she doesn't want to be a villain anymore. And what does that mean to her when Poison Ivy is a villain? Like she's in a romantic relationship with somebody who wants to take over the world with plans, but she actually is trying to find like, maybe I want to be a hero. Maybe I actually want to be friends with Batgirl. And I think if they delved into the storytelling of what Harley Quinn, the show, has been doing so well with, I think they'd really succeed.
Right. Yeah.
And again, they have good art. So great artists on board.
I'll probably try it just to see where it
too.
goes, just like any other book, and we'll see what happens,
Yeah, no, I'll definitely give that first issue a try with an artist like that.
Infamous Mike Manhattan says She-Hulk broke the fourth wall before Deadpool. Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. And it was good.
But there was also a fine line, though. She didn't just break the fourth wall. Like, she did other things.
Right.
She was a lawyer, and she is a Hulk. Like, Deadpool tends to just break the fourth wall, and that's it. And Harley doing the same thing.
Serenity made a comment, said, Mike, I'm mad and I can't stand I'm in a what is that? A mole gangster voice?
Gonna have to explain that one, Serenity.
Man.
So let's get to Mike Martz is leaving Aftershock, who really kind of created that. Mike Martz also is like a big known Batman editor. And moving to Mad Cave, the reason I want to talk about this, I just think it's an interesting move because Mad Cave has been kind of up and coming publishers. I'm curious if this is going to make them a bigger name, and bigger names are going to join Mad Cave because of the editorial shift. Yeah, just thought it was a cool move in the business side of comics.
See how it turns out.
Exactly. See if there's any good books that come out of them. Next up is Emma Frost joins Captain America event. This makes me more interested in this event. I'm like, how does Emma fit into this? I'm curious.
But see, here's the thing. Why doesn't X-Men have to fit into every freaking event these days? So, like, you're getting the X-Men and Spider-Man event, and now you're going to get Emma Frost in the Captain America event. So it's just like, and they're currently going on the Judgment Day event. Like, they're like everywhere, and it's, I don't know.
I never say no to Emma, though. So if it was anybody else, be like Cyclops, but Emma, yeah.
Emma's like one of my favorite female X-Men. She's pretty cool.
We'll see what they end up doing with her. Next up, I'm going to skip that for now. Blade's daughter is finally getting her own series. This has been in talks for like 10 years, and they're finally making it. That's pretty much it.
It came out on Free Comic Book Day. So if you have your Free Comic Book Day issues.
Did they actually already come out with it?
Yeah, that was in this past year's Free Comic Book Day. So that's technically her first appearance in that book.
I have it. I didn't read it though.
Yeah, and now they're coming out with that series. I forgot who's writing it.
Oh, I just canceled that. Let me see. I remember I was like, "Oh, this is interesting." Is it Tim Seeley? Let me see. No, it's Danny Lore. They did some Champions.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of what else they've done. But that was
you kind of can't really screw this up because she's a brand new character. So you can do what
I'll read it.
Do. Just make her interesting, and I think people could get attached to her. Yeah,
no, I'll give it a shot. I like seeing new stuff coming out from Marvel. Has Substack released any comic products at all since it started? Yeah, no, a lot of these comic series are becoming Image Comics and stuff like that. I think Kelly Thompson's new book is coming out soon in 2023. A lot of the James Tynion stuff come out, Scott Snyder stuff. So they're definitely doing some stuff. Next up is Bishop is getting their own book. It's kind of the right track. At least he's getting his solo series, but I don't care about Bishop. I
like Bishop, not in Marauders, but in this book, he looks pretty cool. Like, it looks more
very
like
90s.
It looks very much more like the Bishop that we know, right? And not the fucking character that he is right now in Marauders. My gosh. Man, did that book go downhill big time.
It's such a great book. Yeah, I'm definitely upset that the direction it went. What did you think of Vanish? I forget if we talked about this here or not. I feel like we were on for Vanish.
I thought we did.
Yeah, I think we talked about that one.
Yeah. Vanish was good. I liked it. I'm looking forward to the next issue. That comes out in not tomorrow, but the following week.
No, I thought it was pretty solid. Definitely enough to read issue 2. Next up, you want to talk about this. Silver Surfer introduces a new hero. So there's going to be a new Silver Surfer series and a new character in there.
I'm always up for new Silver Surfer series. I felt like there's not enough Silver Surfer in general. And so now there's going to be this new character. So why not pick it up? The last one we had was a throwback from the original 90s series. And then we had Silver Surfer Black, I think, before that. So again, there's just not a lot of that character. And Kat read the series that Dan Slott read.
I liked it. I liked it a lot.
So
something different.
And I did not like it because it had that freaking all-red artwork. No, thank you.
Did have different style art.
Yeah.
Moving on to DC Infinite Ultra. This is honestly kind of a game changer. So DC Infinite Ultra is going to be releasing comics 1 month after its release. Like that's not long.
That's people pretty good.
Switch up to digital. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah, that's pretty good, especially if you can't afford, comic books. And I think what was it, $100 for the introductory price, if I remember reading it correctly. So if you look at
not bad.
$100 for the entire year, that is That is great.
Mhm.
That is really good. If you don't mind waiting 1 month to read your comics, and if you can't afford all these comics, it's just the only thing that stinks is that still, even though it's only a month, you miss that release, and then it's like people are
The
talking about
talk
it
is
by the time
over.
it comes out. Yeah, the
But
hype
if
is
you're not part
over.
of that conversation, then it doesn't matter as much. If you're just
Yeah,
reading comics to read comics, like go
yeah,
for it. Like if you're
yeah,
not
exactly.
in that land.
Yeah, it's not
Which I
bad.
mean a
I
lot of people
mean,
are. We're into it, but there's a lot of people that are just like, I just really like this one book and I want to read it, you know?
yeah, and you can read
Like I
whatever
really
you
like
want,
Saga.
right? I mean,
I think
$100, you
so.
can read everything. So
Yeah.
that's
Keep you
not
busy.
really a bad deal. What they need
It's a
to
good
do
Christmas
though,
gift.
what they would love, like I would love if again they came up with some type of Netflix for comics where it's just
Mm.
everything.
I think Comixology tried. It's just hard because it's just like if you make digital comics as successful as you could, print will die,
It
especially if you
would.
make it
It
cheaper.
would. Yeah, no, it would. Um and it's just like, well, what do you do at that point? Like do you do it for all comics? Do you do it for Marvel DC? Do you do it for, and then do you still make print comics for like indie publishers like UCat? You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Stuff like that. It's just, I, I don't know. I don't know what the answer is to that, but it's just like, I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon, but I think it might eventually get there. I don't know.
See what happens. Next up, I mean, 2 sentences. Harley gets a multiverse series. No, thank you. I'm done with multiverses. Thank you.
It's
That's my
enough of that.
sentence.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm okay. Next up for you is new Guardians series.
Oh, that's right. God damn, man. Some of this news is old, so I was like, I don't even remember what it is. It's just a new Guardian series,
It's
a
just a new
mini series.
series. We don't know. The topic says new Guardians comic book will launch in the spring. More info promised in the coming months.
That's
And
right.
it's a shattered picture, and it says, "How do you rebuild a family?"
So yeah, that's right. It didn't give you any information. So it's Guardians. I'm excited. Let's see what it has to offer. I think the big thing here is going to be the team. Who you put on the team, obviously, is going to be the selling point of this comic book. Do you do a completely new team or do you kind of stick with the original people, So we'll see what happens.
So next up is Rogan Gambit once again gets a title. Which it seemed successful enough from the last one. Like people liked it, but I think it's because Kelly Thompson was writing it. Let me see who's writing this. Let's see. Teeny Howard, man, Teeny Howard's getting around.
What?
Ryan Harley and Rogan Gambit now.
I don't know if I'm going to get this.
I'm not a big enough fan of the characters.
I
Honestly.
like Rogue. I'm an okay, like Gambit's okay, but I just don't know if I want to just see them together. I don't know. Again, it's more X-Men books. We have so many X-Men books. Like, and you already talked about the freaking Bishop book, right? Now you're getting this book. And so then you have all the other X-Men books. I think X-Men has the most books out of any books in
For
the
sure.
universe.
People complain about Spider-Man. He has like maybe 3, and
Yeah.
2 of them you don't have to really read. Oh, I would say 4, and 2 of them you don't have to read because the Dan Slott book did. We never talked about the Dan Slott book either.
No.
I thought it was solid. I enjoyed that first issue that Dan
I did
Slott wrote.
too. I liked
I thought it
it.
was really solid.
The big thing is like this is the kicker, right? So this is the way you start off a comic book.
Yeah, I
And it's
hate the
like
event.
it's a story that we kind of already saw before. So the big thing is that what is Dan Slott going to do when this story is over? That's what I want to see, right?
Mhm.
And but I thought the artwork was good. I thought the beginning of that book was really great when it had nothing to do with the Spider-Verse characters. When he was just battling some street level thugs, that's when Dan Slott wrote him the best in that book because he's making all those quippy remarks and stuff like that. And I'm like, man, this is really good, And he let the artwork breathe. Like he didn't do so much dialogue like he did in the Fantastic Four book. He let Mark Bagley tell his story through the artwork, and I really appreciated that. So that's what I liked about that book.
Yeah, no, I agree. And it was just like, it was cool to see Silk. It was cool to see, the characters team up. And it was just like I won't say it blew my mind because it's like, oh, I've seen Spider-Verse before. I don't care. But I'm like, oh, he wrote the characters well. It was fun. And we'll see where it ends up going. All right, moving on to, finally, a character I care about returning. X-23 is getting a miniseries.
Here we go.
There's a lot of X-Men, but I'll never say no to Laura.
I'll pick that up too. I like that.
Let me
That
see who's
book
writing this.
The cover looks sweet on that one.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. Erica Schultz, who has actually done a lot of Kickstarter stuff, is writing it as well. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, definitely getting that. Next up.
We got this real quick. It said people count the Spider-Man related books. So like Black Cat, Carnage, Venom, Miles, etc.
But even so, like, there's still not that many. Like, Black Cat is a mini series, so that's ending. Miles is actually ending. It's coming back, but
right.
I honestly don't think it's that much. And I don't feel like Venom and Carnage, or really any of those books besides maybe Black Cat, are that related to each other.
No, Carnage has basically nothing to do with what's going on with Black Cat. And
Black Cat's more of an Iron Man book right now.
Right now it is. And the cool thing is, though, the thing with those books is those stories, like Felicia is more of a character now than she was before Jed MacKay took her over.
Right.
And that's what I was talking about when it came to the X-Men books. Like, look at Black Cat before Jed MacKay took her over. She was just this normal, like, black Catwoman like character that had an on again, off again relationship with Peter, which same thing like Batman. You know what I'm saying? She has on again, off again relationship with Bruce Wayne. It's very similar. Now Jed MacKay took that character and added, some things to her. Yes, we find out that she's bisexual. She had a relationship with Odessa Drake. She also has a relationship with this girl, is it Tamara or Tara or whatever it is?
That, yeah.
And it was just, she added layers to the character. She has her own crew. Like, it's just, he's done so much with her. And that's what I'm looking for when it comes to these X books. We get these X books that come out, but by the time you get done reading them, what did you get out of that story? Yes, maybe you got entertained, but what happened to the character that, get something added to the character?
And a lot of them are just teams, and there are a lot of teams that already are on teams, and it's just like, all right, we got enough.
Right.
Okay, moving on to some Spider-Man news. So Spider-Man is introducing a character named Hallows Eve and Red Goblin, and we know that Red Goblin is going to be Harry Osborn. Norman Osborn. No, that's Gold Goblin. Normie, you're right. Normie.
Yeah, Normie. Yeah.
His grandson. You're correct.
Yeah.
Not Harry. He's somebody now. Who is he going to be?
I don't remember. I don't know who Harry is. Huh? No, that's Ben Reilly.
No, it's Ben.
Yeah.
Who the hell is Harry?
Where is Harry? What happened to Harry?
Oh, God. And what's so funny about Spider-Man right now is that they've introduced so many new characters and have done nothing with them, so I forget them. So, like, the Goblin Queen, her character, it's just like, whoa, there's so many of them. But yeah, so we do have the new Hallows Eve character. I don't know if there's much information about her yet, but, she looks coolish. She's going to be more in the dark web.
You know what I said? Here was my theory.
Mm-hmm.
She's Mary Jane.
That could be really cool. I think that'd be really awesome. I feel like people will blow their minds if that happened. I think it was Tevye who said, like, oh, where did Mary Jane get powers from? So maybe it's already been leaked that it is her, but I would love that. That'd be really cool.
I'm trying to think of, like, where
or Liz. Only Liz Allen I could think of because she's related to the Goblin stuff.
I just, like, where did she come from? Like, I want to know where she's, what she's about. Like, she makes her appearance on Amazing Spider-Man issue 14. I think that's the first one. And then she'll get her own mini series. And it looks like she's a character that's also going to stay around. So, and maybe this one might have more of a liking to than Goblin Queen. Is that what it
I
is?
liked her
Queen
too.
Goblin?
I
I like
genuinely
her.
like that
I want
character.
to see her come back. But it was like who created her? Was it Nick Spencer? No, it wasn't Nick Spencer. It was
It was, I
it
think,
was from the
this
Beyond
writer.
story arc, but like who
I think it
actually
was Zeb Wells.
was it?
I think so.
Yeah. So I don't know, man, but Hallows Eve seems like an interesting character. I really want to see like her power set and what she does and things like that. She seems a little bit different.
Yeah, no, I think her costume looks cool. Like I'm interested. I'm also just interested to see how Normie's going to be involved because Normie is kind of young. So like the Red Goblin series kind of interests me. I feel like at least with Spider-Man, they are trying to do different stuff with these like new series because you do have the
Yeah.
Gold Goblin and Norman is a good guy now, which I'm super interested in. Like all the miniseries, I'm actually interested in. They all
Yeah.
sound interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why I'm intrigued about this event. Like, because this event could lead into the whole thing with the 6 months. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? I think that was just a tease. And then eventually we're going to get to that after we see these stories. You know what I'm saying? So that will definitely come in time.
No, I definitely hope so. We do have some questions here. Consensual Sense says, "How many stars did Namor issue 1 get?" I did not read Namor.
I didn't read it either. I wasn't touching that thing at all.
And then Infamous Mike Manhattan says, "You guys picking up Wildcats?" I never grew up with the book. I never had a fancy for those characters, so
I
no.
will be picking up Wildcats, but there's no reason why you can't. Like, there's
It
gonna
seems
be
very 90s. It just every single time I ever got into a Wildstorm property, it never interests me.
right,
Ever. They all
right,
felt like these like gritty characters that like was trying to be something else. And again, if it's great and people are saying this is the best book ever, I'll pick up issue 1.
right,
But it
right,
just looks like another Wildstorm series that they've been trying to do for 10 years. They've been trying to bring these characters back.
right.
Are you excited for it? Or are you just like gonna
I'm not gonna say I'm blown out of the like oh my god, I can't wait for fucking Wildcats, right? I'm just I think it's kind of cool that they're bringing them back. I'll see what happens with it. It's just like any other book for me, you know. Again, I never have wavered on the DC side ever. You know, there's very few books where I'm totally excited about when it comes to DC. And if it has to do if it's Green Arrow, Green Lantern, good Batman book. Like those are the ones that I'm excited for. Deceased, like those ones. DC versus Vampires has been good this year.
Dark
But
Knights of Steel is coming back, I think, next
yeah,
month. So
finally.
that'll be
Oh my
nice.
god,
Yeah.
that's taking fucking forever. Jesus. But
That's a
Dark
great
Knights of
book.
Steel is awesome too. But yeah, Wildcats, I'm like, oh, that's cool that they're bringing back. I'm gonna check it out. That's just kind of my
Mhm.
reaction to it.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta look if it's a week. Sometimes you gotta try it and see if it interests you. Speaking of DC, we do have an event coming up called Lazarus Planet. If you didn't think we had enough of the Lazarus Pit,
Man, oh
I'll
man.
give it a shot. I mean, it's spinning out of Batman vs Robin, so
But it's a bunch of mashups for characters.
it is, yeah, and it looks like a couple of different creators are taking over
Yeah.
it. Oh, actually, it's exploding only from one issue, Batman vs Robin. I'm reading now. Um, we'll see. I'll see when that comes out, and if there's anything that interests me. But there's a girl that's wearing this like red leather jacket that kind of looks cool.
Yeah.
I don't know who she is, but she kind of
It's a
looks
bunch of
interesting.
mashup characters. It's like they all the characters get, I don't know, infected by the Lazarus resin and something happens. It's kind of like
Someone we've seen
Infinity Warp.
before.
It's like Infinity Warps from Marvel. And it's
Mhm.
like, oh man. And this is like after this Dark Crisis event, and supposedly the universe is kind of starting over again or whatever it is. This is what you want to do. I don't know, man. I mean, obviously I'm going to try it. I'm going to read it. I might be entertained by it, but I don't know. Is this the best direction for DC Comics if they're trying to return or do something new or different?
Yeah, no, I mean probably not, like especially if it's a Lazarus thing. But We will see. Last news piece is the the one that everyone keeps talking about, the new Superman titles. So just talk about Son of Kal-El. They're rebooting it. It's not canceled. They're just doing an issue one. It's literally the same creative team. So if you're liking it, continue it. If you don't like it, then don't read it. The thing I thought was most interesting was seeing more of the Superman family. So it seems like they're going to be more involved in Action Comics. There's these new twins now that look interesting. Trying to think if there was anything else that was kind of newsworthy.
What's
with
the
these.
image with all of them on there?
No, let me try screen sharing.
Like when you screen share it. So when you go into the article and you have
This
like
one, right?
all of those guys. Yeah, who are all them?
So John looks like he's gonna be a blue, the blue lightning
Blue
version
Superman?
of Superman. And then Kara has a new outfit. Connor's there. Natasha is Iron's niece. Then we have the China Superman, and then the only ones that are new is the new twins here. They're all just got new costumes.
Gotcha.
So that's interesting. I mean, I'm gonna pick up the new Action Comics just I mean, it's not even new. It's just the Superman's back on Earth, so I'll see what that's all about.
So is this a mini
Superman
series or is it ongoing?
No, it's just in an Action Comic, so it's not even like a new series. It's just
the Superman.
Oh, the new Kal-El.
Yeah, the new Kal-El series.
It looks like they're just continuing it. They didn't say it's a mini. I think it's honestly an ongoing. I literally think they're just renaming it.
Right.
And that's it. Just because he's back
Comics
now.
is changing though. It's like, it's 3 separate stories.
And now Superman issue 1, that's why they're renaming it. So John Kent is getting his own book because there's now a Superman issue 1, which I believe Williamson's writing, if I remember correctly. Which is going to be, it's Williamson and the artist of Naomi. I'm stoked for that. I think that's going to be really cool.
Yeah, I like these character sketches. I think that's really cool.
It's just cool that they're doing something different.
What happens? I'm hoping this will be more interesting than the other Superman. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, it says Superman Son of Kal, written by Tom Taylor, will end with issue 18 in December. However, blah 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 blah.
They're literally just renaming it because Superman's getting his own book.
Yep. That's cool, man. I'm excited for that. I'm looking forward to something different.
I'll read all 3. I'm excited to see a new era. And again, just like seeing DC focus on something that's not Batman.
Action Comics, I don't know how interesting. I'll probably pick it up just to see. I just don't like Action Comics being an anthology book. It's just
is it?
Yeah.
Is it like different family members?
3 different stories that happen within the same book. You know what I'm saying?
I'll give it a shot. I think because I actually liked Batman Urban Legends when that was originally coming out.
But if it's cool $8, I'm not buying it if it's $8.
8 is definitely hefty for sure.
Yeah,
it's a 6-issue mini. Which one is the miniseries? Is it Kal-El? Is the miniseries?
Yeah, it's going to be Kal-El because this is Action Comics. Is not going to be the one.
No, but if maybe and it wouldn't be a mini because I was curious if the anthology side would be a mini.
Because it's continuing its numbering, so it's going to be the Son of Kal-El as 6-issue mini,
which makes sense. I mean, they'll wrap up the stuff they're doing, or they'll do kind of what they've been doing. They'll just continue to do mini series, and that's it. Maybe it's a series that shouldn't be an ongoing. They'll be like, all right, this is this arc, and then we'll launch again and do another issue 1 if that's something that's happening.
Right.
But that's all the news. We had a lot to catch up on. So I guess we'll go into our most anticipated. This month is weird. There's not a lot of big books coming out. November has a lot of big books.
All right. So let's see. Let's get into the most anticipated. If I can get it to come up. What's happening here? Here, go ahead, Kat, because for some reason for me it's not popping up.
Weird. If anything, I'll tell you which one your most anticipated works I have in front of me. But my most anticipated. So my third one is Midnight Suns issue 2 because I really like that first issue, and I'm curious to see where the second issue will go. Number 2 is Batman Superman World's Finest issue 8. It's a continuation of this new character showing up, and I really like that story arc. I want to learn more about this new character and where this is going, and how he's going to be different than Superman. I think he is joining the Teen Titans in the last issue, so that should be fun. And number 1 is a book I was talking about earlier, Crashing issue 1. Was really, really good. And the second issue is coming out. So that's my most anticipated.
Gotcha. I got mine up. So number 3 for me is Gunslinger, Spawn issue 13. Just such an awesome book, man. I talk about it every single month it comes out. Gunslinger Spawn just took out a big baddie in the last issue, shot him to death, hung him by a tree. Dude, it's freaking artwork by Brett Booth is so good. Best Spawn book out there right now. Then I have my number 2 as DC's War of the Undead Gods. We're on issue 3. Man, you want to talk about the last issue being so gruesome. You got Darkseid, who is infected by the anti-life equation, who took over Warworld with the help of Supergirl, who is also infected. And Darkseid ripped off Sinestro's head in front of his daughter. I mean, oh man, that was freaking crazy. And then my number 1 is Batman Superman World's Finest issue 8. I mean, that book is so good. Every single month it comes out. I love the way the story is written and just how light that DC universe is, the way Mark Waid writes it. So yeah, I will.
But also feels like experimental because there's always something new happening too.
Yeah,
like, it doesn't feel boring.
Yeah, it's never boring at all. Absolutely, I agree with you 100% there.
It's interesting that I feel like there's not a lot of Marvel books coming out tomorrow because I was looking at our list. I'm like, oh, we're so DC heavy.
Yeah, at least in our top, I guess. You know, I would have to look at my list again and find out. But I don't have a ton of books. I think I have like 13 or 14 books, something like that, coming out tomorrow.
Yeah, no, I don't have a ton of books tomorrow, so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, that's our show. So we'll start. Yeah, I'm looking. I have 2 Marvel books coming out tomorrow. The rest is indie books or DC books. That's wild.
That's funny.
Yeah, that is pretty crazy. But yeah, let's start wrapping up.
Yeah. So, all right, guys. So thank you so much for joining us today. I know it was kind of short notice too. It was late for us to set up the show, but that's sometimes how we roll. So you can usually anticipate us 10:15 every Tuesday night. Hopefully, like I said, Brant will be back with us next week, and hopefully we get to do a proper promotion of the show so you guys have some notice that you can join us. And we'll talk about the comics next week. We'll do our top 5 like usual. So, guys, if you haven't done so already, please, before you dip on out of here, please give this show a like so other people know that it exists. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. It's my channel, Comic Book Corner 2.0, Comic Book Weekly, so you can watch every single episode on that channel as well. Don't forget to hit the bell for notifications. Follow us on the social media, which is Twitter, YouTube, what's it called? Instagram. We don't do no TikTok. We're not like that here. And yeah. So that's about it, guys. So as always, thank you so much. Have a wonderful night, and we will see you guys all next week. Take care, guys. Good night.